So, very simple, not even imagery. This is more like simple breath work. But you might take a minute to notice if you're feeling any differently from when you came in, and if it's better or worse. Couple of points I'd like to make, and by the way, that was talking to your right brain, which is the trancy part of your wiring. I'm now going to talk to your analytic left brain, but it can be frustrating and a little bit irritating, but I think it integrates learning better. There were a couple of things in that imagery that are worth noting. One, it suggests that you use what's called an anchor in hypnosis. In other words, if every time you listen to imagery like this, or did it for yourself, you put your hands over your belly, or if you put your hands here over your breastbone, that will start to be a cue to your body to relax, with or without the imagery and the music. So it's a wonderful, handy thing to have if you just start to condition yourself to respond in this way. And in fact, there's significant evidence to suggest that if you listen to cancer-fighting, immune system boosting imagery, and every time you do that, I would actually recommend putting your hand here, because it's right over your thymus, which has this tremendous depot of cancer fighters that leave from the thymus under your breastbone. If you were to listen to the imagery every single time doing this, then you could stop for a traffic light and do this and take a couple of deep breaths, and you would be boosting your natural killer cell activity. So, anchoring device, good to know. It's good to have one that's unobtrusive, that you can use whenever you're in a boring meeting or waiting in a line or talking on the phone, something that you can take out in public. So that's one thing. Another thing I wanted to mention, people start to cough during these exercises. They'll sometimes start to tear up. Sometimes their noses will run. Sometimes their throats get gunky. This is a natural response to sort of sinking into this altered state. It's actually a sign that the imagery, you're responding to the imagery and it's working well for you. So it's not at all unusual if goo comes to the head and you need to cough, and it's okay. All right, any questions, comments about this particular imagery? Yes?
When you breathe out, you're supposed to breathe out with your mouth open.
Okay, great question, thank you. When you breathe out, are you supposed to breathe out with your mouth open or closed? I know there are some yoga techniques that are very specific about how you breathe out. Not with this. Whatever's comfortable for you. Anybody else? Yes?
You brought one hand to your chest, and when you had it to your stomach, you had both hands there.
Right.
So are you only bringing one here over the thymus, or are you bringing both hands together?
I think it's just more natural to put one hand here and two hands here, but it doesn't matter. I mean, what you really want is to even activate that thymus more with the heat of your hand. So 2 hands is fine too. It's just this would look a little stranger in public. This doesn't. If you're sitting down, people do this anyway. Yes?
If you're in a situation where your hands have to be over your head, what would you suggest?
If you're in a situation where your hands have to be over your head. Yes. Something with your fingers. Actually, I know one woman used the A-OK sign every time she did it. You're welcome. Great question. Okay, anybody else? Shall we move on? Yes, here's...
Teaching breathing from the waist up or from the diaphragm?
It's always...
The chest up or from the diaphragm?
Am I suggesting breathing from the waist, from the chest up or the diaphragm? It's always more, when you're more relaxed, you're more likely to breathe from the belly. So because we're going for relaxation, That's to be encouraged, but some people can't do that immediately on their own. But once they get relaxed, that's how they're going to be breathing anyway. And that's what we want. And if you can deliberately do that, if you can put your hands here and sort of allow your hands to go up and down like that, perfect. But it's easier for some people to do than others. Anybody else? Okay, moving. Yes, I'm sorry.
I
Here.
was just wondering why you said imagery works better in a group.
There's a contagion to the altered state. It's catchies. If you're sitting next to or surrounded by people who are all doing the imagery with you, the same stuff, I can't explain it, but the group is more than the sum of its parts. And even if you have a terrible time concentrating for guided imagery, chances are, if you're sitting in the middle of that section, they'll carry you, the people around you. And if you're sitting next to a yoga instructor, you have got a free ride. It's an energetic phenomenon that's contagious.
But you can still do it by yourself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And in fact, some people who have trouble doing it by themselves at first, do it in a group, a support group, say, then they can go home and do it very easily by themselves.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it always easier when you have soft music like that?
Is it always easier when you have soft music like that? Thank you for that question, too. Generally speaking, music that has long chords and 60 beats a minute or lower will entrain you to relax more quickly. And there are studies showing that even music alone can do some amazing things, not just music plus imagery. However, if you're a music major or a professional musician, you could end up slipping into the analytic part of your brain. You know what I mean? Thinking, what are they using an oboe for? Or why did they change keys there? So for those folks, sometimes it's actually better to do without the music. But for most people, I'd say 94%, the music is a huge help. We once ran a study without the music, and the results weren't nearly as robust.